Hi everyone, this is Carmen from Heavenly Art Dolls, and I'm going to be making some custom wings for a customer, which are dragon wings for her 1/3 BJD doll. So I'm going to show you some of the process. So what I did was I printed these, and you can get the printables on my Etsy store. And it's got a little less detail than the actual printable because I went ahead and changed the coloring a little. So what I do is I cut them out, and then I have wire, and I cut that out to the proper size. And I'm trying to get this all on camera because I'm trying not to have to hold the foam. But what I'm going to do is this will be cut, and it will go all around here, and then also down the veining. And then I'm going to glue two sides together, and then I'm going to go back on top with a glue gun to make the texture of the veining and the bones in the wings. Okay, so I cut some of this fun wire to size, and I put a little loop on the end because the customer wants to put it in the back of the doll under the clothing. There's other ways of doing it. I also attach ribbons or rubber bands to go around the arms. It all depends on how you want it. You can also get it without this part if you are making polymer clay and you just want to glue them into the body or sew them into the clothing. It's up to you. This is fun wire, very flexible, so it's very posable. I take the back part, and then I pretty much form it to the shape of the wing. This is the under part of the wing. Remember, I'm only going to be making the outside frame first. And I use E6000, is it 6,000 or 5,000? And then I put paper weights on this, but for these purposes I'm going to be using a glue gun, which is quicker, and you can add some texture with it also. So I'm going to place that down. My old raggedy but trusty glue gun is ready. And I'm going to start slowly adding the glue and placing the wire so we don't have the problem with it drying. And we can thin it. These are great to use for glue gunning so that you don't burn yourself. These are silicone. So you mold it as you go and glue. And then what I'm doing is I'm flattening the glue so there's no big lumps. And as you know, it usually goes bye-bye because they're not comfortable for me. But it will help me from burning. So you do this same thing all the way around, and I'll be back when that is done. Okay, we're back. And I glued this, and I would do that to both wings. See how it's coming together. Then I'm going to get the thinner wire, and you can use the, this is a harder wire that I like better, so it maintains its shape. And you're going to just follow the bone structure in the printout. And then do the exact same thing. Glue it down. I start at the top just to anchor it and to start it off. Flatten out the glue. And of course, if you'd be using E6000, you would be putting paperweight on this and using tape to hold down the ends. By the way, this is vellum. You can also use transparency sheet. You can use actually any media that you'd like. If you want to use fabric, that would be really great. And yes, I stick my hands right in it, and luckily I'm not getting burned. I think I've become tolerant to the burns by now. I'm sure if you're a crafter, you understand what I mean. Hi again, everyone. So I've done the skeleton, and let me move some things because that's where the camera is pointing. Let me go there and show you. So what I did was, I'm actually going to turn this around, is that I trimmed the other one very precisely, as much as I can. You're always going to trim some more off of it. And then I'm going to glue it right over, and I'm going to put glue where all the bones are. Then after, you can come back around to the edges here and glue that. But right now I just want to hold everything down. So I just do it little by little to make sure I get it right, just like I want it and where I want it. The wire is a little bit inside the printable, or the printout. It doesn't have to be perfect, but fit as close as possible. I think I should move this down, actually, because as close as possible, but not close enough. Hi everyone, sorry, I think I got cut off. But what I did here, as you can tell, I don't know if you can see it, I put the glue all around, leaving little knobs for the joints. And I can go back and redo that a little bit and thicken it up however I'd like. I did the other side also. And now I'm going to do the back side. And then afterwards I'm going to, I already did this one a little, I'm going to put some glue gun in here in the middle, and I squeeze this together to get it all closed. And when you put the paint in there, it's not going to show that this messiness basically will be gone also when you put the varnish on it. So I will be back. Okay, so we're basically going to paint over that, get rid of all the little spider webby parts that are left from the glue first. Okay, and then we're going to start. And what I'm using under this is, I call it a piddle pad, but it's a puppy training pad, very, very absorbent, and that's what I buy to use underneath. And if I need to blot my brushes, I do, and it's great for that. Okay, so you will do as so. And then you can also do a little bit of shading as you go along with paint that you've already got. Now remember, you can always retrim, repaint, reglue parts that you need. My next video I'll be making some smaller fairy wings, and I will be using the glue so that you can see my technique for doing that. And a lot of it is on how it is embellished also. this will not be as embellished. It's straightforward dragon wings. And this is how I basically shade and get that very rustic-y, not so brand new look. And then I will go over this with some reds and oranges for highlights. So I'm basically doing what's going to be underneath. So if it's not as neat or you want to make some changes, you always can. But you see how it starts to get that more worn, real look to it. Doesn't look as cutesy. And then you just keep going back over the areas you want a little bit darker. And I've got glue gun all over the place. So you get the idea. After you do a couple, you kind of get the idea of it. You don't really need to be that careful because you don't want it to be so nice and neat. You know? Okay, so I'm going to finish up the black and then I'm going to come back with some highlights and bring you back when I do that. Hi everyone, I'm back again. I have done the black all on the boning and did some shading with the black, and now I'm adding some red mixed with black. As you can see, it's all over me because hi everyone, I'm back. And I did a little bit of the varnishing, not really ahead of time actually. The video did not record properly at that part that I was showing you how to apply it. But basically I used the matte gel varnish and I just basically put it here on the top. I use tops of everything instead of paint palettes. You can even add a little bit of water to it. And I'll do it over this again so that you could see. And you're basically brushing it. I use a cross stroke like this, like a cross hatching. And when you're first doing it for the first time, you'll see that the paint does tend to come off a little bit of the printed vellum. But if you're going over it and painting it, that's not a problem. If you're doing something that you're not going over it with paint, you definitely don't want to do that. I would recommend a spray varnish, which will work a lot better on that. So let's get going with the rest of the project, and we're almost finished and ready to see the end. Okay, so we're back for the final last parts. One thing that you might want to consider trying, I've used this for a lot of different things, even doll making. It's Perfect Pearl Mists, and they come in all different kinds of color, and it's like a little metallic mist. So it's not like glitter. It will give you sort of this, I don't know if you can see it on here, kind of like a misty kind of shine to it. It's pretty interesting. You might want to try to use that. I also have some metallic paints that I'm going to use for the bottom part, the parts that are more of a highlight. So let's do a little bit of that. And again, you can always wipe things off once you have it varnished. Go back over it, go over it with something different. Let me see if I get the camera to cooperate a little better. That's a little better there. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my smaller brushes. Okay, this is good. And I'm going to try some of this metallic, it's bright red metallic blue. And just kind of add it here to the bottom where the highlights would be. And again, I'm going to take my sponge, or a new sponge actually, and I'm going to pat it in so that it blends really well. And you could take darker colors and layer over that, which is probably what I'm going to do in a second. So basically your wings become like a canvas, and it's kind of doing that right now because the back is not it's not painted or treated or anything, but once I do that, it'll you should do that at the same time and then start painting. But for the purposes of showing you what to do, I am not doing that. So as I said before, I pretty much go right out of the containers here, and then I wipe them before I put them away. And basically that's what you're doing. You're layering. Okay, you can put a little bit of water in it also. You can also put it on the sponge. This is something you would do if you were reborning. Just put it on the sponge and then pounce it on. Okay, if you wanted to add even more highlights, you could use something like that color. There is a darker pewter color. It's like a bronzy pewter color. I might add a nice darkish kind of shimmer to it. And again, always pat it in. And if I wanted to, I could go back with the black and add even more shading. What I would do right now is send an image of these wings to the customer, and she'll tell me if she likes them or not, and then I'll correct or make them darker or make them lighter or whatever it is that she wants. But I think they're coming out pretty neat. So I will come back and show you the finished product. Hi everyone, I'm back with the finished wings, and this is how they are supposed to curve, and they are finished and ready to go home. So please post your comments and post photos if you try this. You can also find Heavenly Art Dolls on Facebook, my page, and you can post them there also. And I'd love to see how yours turn out. And remember, they can be any color. If you buy the wing sheets, you can ask me if you want them in a different color, and I will reshade them on the computer. And the size that you need, if you want the larger ones or smaller ones. Either way, you get them at 300 resolutions, not resolution, but whatever that is. It's a 300% at 8x10 size. So you can repaint them if you have a computer program. You can resize them. You can do whatever you want except sell the digital sheets. Have fun.